All right, now here's one of the meat and potatoes kind of sections of this. The World Heavyweight Championship. Dolph Ziggler drops the title to Alberto Del Rio, and I mean, there's so many good things about this, and there's so many things that bother me. I'm gonna throw one thing out there that bothers me. What the hell with this fantasy league?
Yes. Yes.
I get.
Yes.
Did I not get
Yes.
like so screwed over on this
See,
whole thing?
see.
I pick Dolph Ziggler and The Miz and Daniel Bryan and Big Show. I mean, Brodus Clay was a stupid pick, but and what happens? Big Show stops wrestling. Daniel Bryan goes on a losing streak, uh, especially dropping the title because he had the tag team championship at that time. The Miz, like, you know, he continued basically kind of like his losing stuff, but he's picked up some points. And Dolph Ziggler gets a concussion and loses his guaranteed retain. And then the next time he ends up having a match, he ends up actually dropping a title. Like, what the hell?
Well, I just need to ask you a question, Tony. You know Brodus Clay's theme music, don't you? Somebody's feeling butthurt. Somebody's feeling butthurt.
It's true,
Somebody's
but
feeling
God damn
butthurt. Somebody's feeling really butthurt.
it is true. I'm not gonna deny it, but God damn it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But speaking as a fan too, there's some positives to this and some negatives.
You think there's some negatives about this?
Yeah,
I thought it was
a lot of people
really,
are
really cool.
Well, a lot of people are saying like, well, this is going to lead to Dolph Ziggler being, you know, like the next big thing, and it's really going to help him out and all that. I'm worried.
Thing.
I'm worried that there's always a risk that they won't do that. I mean, look at how many times we've had similar situations where this is going to take off and it didn't, and it all depends on how WWE does it. And they've shown before that they're not infallible. So this does have a lot of potential to turn him as like one of the big baby faces, but man, if they screw it up, if they don't do all the right things, it is just going to make Ziggler look like shit. One of the things that I'm worried about is they tend to do this kind of stuff where they pull something out like in the middle of nowhere, and then they kind of start liking it, and they go, well, let's just keep riding this. And I don't want them to have Del Rio as the champion for another 3 months or something.
I don't think he's going to hold it for that long, though. He seemed to just win the title for the sake of, well, kicking Dolph in the head 3,000 times and then turning very, very vicious and villainous, because the way he was attacking him eventually throughout the match was not the actions of a babyface.
No.
That was clear.
It's clear that this is
town.
It was clear that this was a double turn, at least by the end of it. I mean, or at least when Dolph was trying to come back and, you know, he had his hands up and you kind of really felt sorry for him after a while.
The commentators turned with it, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, Michael Cole was getting sickened by Del Rio, and like constantly they kept putting over how Ziggler kept kicking out.
And on top of that, JBL was loving the viciousness of Del Rio, and he's been busting his chops since he's been on commentary because he's been a babyface.
Yep.
So you could tell something was going on. But I think the big moment is when the EMTs went to go check on Ziggler, and then Del Rio just basically kicked him in the head from behind. And it's like, that's not an honorable action.
Oh, it's fine, don't worry. And he's like throwing him back in the ring and just punishing him some more. But the thing that got me was I heard the kick. That's what brought me back, focus on the TV. I was sitting there and I was zoning out because of the Kane match. I just thought, oh, you know, F this. And then all I'm hearing is bang.
Yeah.
I look back at the TV and Ziggler is just getting punished. And
it was one-sided, but the storytelling was excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we can say from this.
It was a complete domination.
Pushing it. He's like, I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up. And I just looked at it and I was like, fuck, they're doing this. They're doing this. They're doing a double turn.
And on top of that, they picked the perfect venue or crowd to kind of do it in front of, too, because they knew Dolph was going to get a bigger face-like reaction than Del Rio would, despite the fact that he went into the match to heel.
I think that's what makes this whole thing work, is the fact that the fans have already been behind Ziggler for such a long time, especially since he won the title, and the fans have just been so against Del Rio. It was
two birds with one stone.
Yeah, it was going to happen eventually that they were going to both turn, so why not do it now? I think the initial shock angered a lot of people. The fact that they took the belt off Ziggler you know, just when he got back from his, you know, concussion, and, you know, just when he just won the belt from you know, at with the Money in the Bank thing. I think that initially got people, but I see a lot of good coming out of this, because from what I'm hearing, what I've been reading, a lot of people in the back are supporters of Ziggler, but they're more supportive of him being a face. So I think you're going to get a lot more
reactions. He gets
Yeah,
positive. He's not over as a heel. He's over as somebody that people want to cheer for. So why not turn him?
Yeah,
and people
I
want
think
to beat
the
Del
only
Rio anyway.
I think the only
Hopefully this
problem
will
you
give
do
him-
get, I think the only problem you do get from this, though, is what you mentioned before, is that they might overuse this whole babyface thing, and it might get to a point where he never wins the belt. You know, they might just see too much money in him chasing after it,
Right.
that the fans just get tired of
It becomes a
it.
Jeff Hardy situation, except he never actually wins the belt.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that they could end up doing this kind of mentality where they think, well, he's over.
So he's just gonna be over forever. He doesn't need a championship.
Right, he's over, so let's have people beat him because that'll make them look better.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean,
what
that's
kind
what
of heel would benefit from beating him, though? On the roster, really.
It doesn't matter necessarily who will, it's who WWE thinks will.
But I don't really see them. And it just started, so we can't really tell. It's definitely going to go to Money in the Bank. That's definitely a rematch between those two is imminent. At least they have something to feud over now. At least there's some sort of heat behind it. I mean, I want to fucking kill the guy who tried to target my once concussed head and took advantage of it and beat me for a championship. That's for certain. So at least there's an actual story.
I think now that I think now that the sides have switched, I'm way more into this matchup, because it feels right.
Me too.
You know, I've always liked Del Rio as a heel. I've always liked Ziggler. I can't really say as a face, but I do like him more as a face. So I'm more invested into it because it just makes sense to me. It feels right.
I thought they
need to
needed
tell
to
the
turn
story.
Dolph for a long time. He was way too popular as a heel, and I think now he's going to be able to at least show something different. He's not just going to be that generic cocky guy. He's going to have to change things up a little bit, you know, in order for the babyface turn to work. And Del Rio, I mean, I think he's just more natural as a heel in the company. I know he worked the majority of his career in Mexico as a babyface, but his character, that cheap grin and smile, I think that's been missing for a long time, and that the pseudo Eddie Guerrero thing just wasn't quite working out like they'd hoped. So now they're going to get
the guy's a cocky billionaire. How do you make a babyface out of a cocky billionaire? I mean, we hate him because he's better than us. He's rich. We're not going to sympathize with him. We don't have big mansions and luxury
I've
cars.
always been a fan of Del Rio. It's not I don't hate him. And that's why I didn't hate the title switch. I thought it was really quick to take it off of Dolph. But I look at the bigger picture. I think you're going to get a way better, more heated, personal program that you can invest yourself into between these two. And it's all because of this match at Payback. I mean, they couldn't have told that story better. And double turns, I think, are rare in wrestling. You rarely see them. So if this works on behalf of both men and it goes somewhere really, really good, I think we could be in for something special throughout the rest of the summer and the fall.
Well, what do you guys think is going to end up happening when it comes to Big E and AJ? Because they can't obviously turn babyface with Ziggler, so they have to leave him. Do you think that they're going to just leave him, or do you think that Ziggler's going to leave them?
I think it already has. I think the past month without Ziggler has really helped make AJ and Big E their own entity.
Yeah, they kind of stood out.
I could see them just kind of not even acknowledging that they're not together anymore, just kind of doing their own thing. You know, Ziggler's doing his thing on SmackDown. The other two are going to be doing their thing on Raw with Caitlyn. I think they're just going to just subtly not even acknowledge that they ever broke up or even were together. They're just kind of going to go with it. You know, pay no attention to the man behind the mirror.
I see them doing that.
Yeah, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
But I think they got to address it at some point. I mean, they've been together as like a trio for a long time now. You have to at least explain why he's not with them anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're going to keep AJ as a tweener. That's what they're going to do. They're going to have her as a heel with her, a heel with her feud with Caitlyn, and sort of being the tweener face person with Ziggler.
To offset Ricardo for Del Rio. Kind of be Dolph's ringside support.
They'll probably will end up taking, getting Dolph to feud with Big E eventually and have AJ turn that way, full-fledged. But at the moment, she's valuable with Ziggler. having her just taking her away from him now, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
it's not going to help.
The legend leader role between the two has been working very well since they've been put together. So
yeah, so
I see it lasting for at least
a
little bit longer.
Yeah, they need to sort of push this a little bit further. I think what they need to do now is tell the story of the evolution of Ziggler's character. They need to give him his first legitimate World Heavyweight title win, because I don't count the MITB wins as legitimate wins. I count them as a win that you're going to have until you eventually are able to get the title back yourself. You won't have to rely on that briefcase. And I think this is going to be the one for Ziggler. And him, it would be fair to probably say that him and Del Rio would probably feud over this belt the next couple of months, 2-3 months. I could see the two just going at it. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing for both men. I think Del Rio is a nastier heel than he was when he was a WWE champion. I think the fact that Ziggler's now at that position where he's going to be a babyface, he could be something really big. But they need to make sure that they keep the focus on these two and not add anybody else into the mix, or not throw a Ryback in there and say, okay, no, we're going to put Ryback in there now because he's got nothing else to do.
I think anyone who's worried that Ziggler is this is gonna actually negatively affect him and then he's gonna go nowhere, remember how many things this guy's overcome. There are certain people that no matter how many times you kick them, they come back, and he's one of those guys. He got over the Spirit
It's
Squad,
basic face 101.
Patty. Yeah.
If you think about it, it's basic face 101, because what's going to happen here is heels genuinely do not have the heart of a lion, and Dolph risked his health to just continue fighting, even if it could end his career, and they're going to play on that, and that's going to add a whole lot of sympathy. I don't think they're going to squander such an opportunity. They got a good story here.
I think this feud is going to be for this year what Christian versus Randy Orton was for 2011.
I hope so.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of these guys' matches. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of matches between these guys for the next few months.
All right, anybody have any other kind of things we should talk about, or should we just move on?
I will say this, since we brought up Big E. I don't know if you guys saw that string of Twitter posts I put between AJ and Big E, but I want to see Big E turn babyface really soon. I think that was hilarious.
I think it's too soon to turn him face, but I do think that he will be a better babyface.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he was a babyface in NXT. So.
Del Rio for champion 2014.
All right, then we're going to move on. The next match, I think, coming on our way will be Jericho and Punk, if I'm remembering correctly. So stay tuned for that.